Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm going to give you pointers on how to become a travel nurse, how I went from a full-time nurse to a full-time travel nurse. Stay tuned. Okay, so I'm going to break down the steps for you, okay? So I wrote down a few things for you guys so this way I didn't forget anything or mention anything, okay? So, step one, you have to become a registered nurse. So you could do that through becoming... Well, you know what? You can also do that as a licensed practical nurse. I really don't know what contracts are available for licensed practical nurses, but I do know that they do have agencies. So step one for registered nurses, you want to become an ASN, which would require you to get an associate's degree in nursing or a BSN, a bachelor's in science degree in nursing. You want to do that first. So obviously you're going to pass your NCLEX, right? We're going to pick a school, a good school, right? Not the ones where they hand out fake diplomas and fake licenses. We're going to pick a real school, right? Okay. Then you need to get your experience. You need at least 1 year. They say it depends on the hospital, but you need at least 1 year experience in the specialty that you go into. Obviously, some specialties, it may take you longer than 1 year. Like ER is a specialty that may take you a little long because orientation is like 6 months for that. So by the time you're able to go out on your own, you're going to need more than, a year for that one. But what I did, I started at a level 1 trauma center. So I often make the joke that made me age in dog years. Like my experience happened, I got dog years for my experience. I started on a high acuity floor. I did step down telemetry. And then they would allow some people to cross train in the ICU. I never did that. So I did the step down PCU and yeah, I did that. They were floating me to med surge. And within like 6 weeks, they weren't supposed to be doing that. So with that, I'm like, okay, like if I could work a higher acuity, I could definitely go and take med surge contracts, right? Makes sense. So I would suggest people, if you want to learn really quickly and really fast, go to a trauma center. I would even say what they call a crap show hospital, and you will learn where you are thrown in. Now, you're going to be thrown in with a lot of people, especially if it's a learning hospital too. You're going to have residents. So I actually enjoyed working with the residents because we were all in it together. It wasn't like nurse, doc. We didn't get that. It's like, you got this. Like, I don't know. It's blind leading a blind child, So we got through it, and I would suggest that. So yes, for sure. If you want quick experience, go to a level 1 trauma center and rock out. Now, depending on the state that you want to go into, you may get a compact license. A compact license allows you to be licensed in multiple states. New Jersey is a compact license state. That means you have whatever they have, I would say, I don't know, an agreement from state to state with other states. So basically New Jersey, if you have a license in New Jersey, you also have a license in North Carolina automatically. So yeah, so you got to determine if you have to get licensed in the state that you want to practice your nursing. So yeah, that's a major thing too. So you have to make sure you have the right licensure. You want to maybe they may require you to have your ACLS, your BLS. Usually you will have to have BLS is like the basics one, I think. Now you could comment down below if I'm wrong, but I believe a lot of you have to at least have basic life support for I think all nursing specialties. For me, I have ACLS, I have NIH, and I have my BLS because I was doing step down. Step down is also known as a specialty part of critical care. And depending on what contracts, like if you take a step down contract, you will probably be floated to the ICU. They will try to give you, and that's another thing I want to say too. Sorry to get off topic, but that's why I advise to go to a trauma center, because like a level 1 trauma center, because you see how I said, as a traveler, you're going to be expected to kind of know and hit the floor running. Yes, sometimes you may get orientation. You may get like a little orientation. Like, you're not going there to learn how to be a nurse. You're going to nurse anywhere, you know. Nursing is nursing anywhere you go. But with that being said, being at a level 1 trauma center, especially if you're going to take PCU, maybe PCU contracts, if they float you to the ICU, a lot of times, depends on what hospital you work at, a PCU, a lot of times the patients belong in the ICU. So you'll go to these hospitals that they'll have an ICU patient that is like, what is this? This is easy for me to, you know, work with. But I would just say stick to med-surg if you have one. It's just, you know, it's I don't want to say it's easier, but it's you know, easier to manage with a certain amount of experience. So now you have to find yourself a travel agency. There's so many travel agencies that you could go to. I'm not loyal to anybody. These girls ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal. These nurses ain't loyal. No, I'm not loyal to any agency. So once you know, whoever has the best rate, that's the only thing I could tell you. You know, you just got to find an agency. You'll meet travelers. You'll meet other travelers. They'll put you on to their agencies. But there's just so many agencies. It's really, I mean, I'm helping you, but these agencies not paying me extra. I don't need to shout them out, you know. But try an agency. Yes. So you just got to find an agency. It's really easy. That's something that you could find. But, you know, watch out for some recruiters. So here are some red flags that you may want to look out for. A recruiter who's pressuring you nonstop. Now, they're going to be, you know, it's a business. It's a money thing. So your recruiter gets a commission off of you as a nurse. But at the same time, they should want to place you in a place that is going to work for you as well. Like, without you, they would have no job, you know? So some red flags to look out for some recruiters if they're very pushy. I would suggest asking the recruiters, what are travelers saying about this hospital? What is the retention rate with travelers in the hospital? Because some hospitals you go to, travelers cancel their contracts, or they cancel travelers, like if the traveler blinks the wrong way. You want to know if it's a traveler friendly. Now, when you're a traveler, you're going to probably get the harder patients. It's unfortunate because it's like, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So you want to know, even though you're going to get probably like the harder patients, you're always going to be the first one to float. You want to know how that hospital, because if it's too much, it's like, you don't want to go into what I'm saying, a shit show, a complete shit show, where it's like they dumping on you consistently. So you want to ask your recruiter, what is the other travelers saying? What is the retention rate? And you definitely want to know the level of hospital. For instance, I would suggest, if you are a first-time traveler, if you have your level 1 trauma experience, do not take your first travel contract at a level 1 trauma center. Try a level 2, level 3, or community hospital, because it won't, the acuity of the patient won't be so high. You get what I'm saying? So you could kind of get your feet wet, see how it works out for you. You understand? So you want to do that. You also want to get the information behind that, ask your recruiter. And also, what are you expected to do? For instance, I went to a facility. I had to do peritoneal dialysis. I'm not a dialysis nurse. I've never even been to a place why they expect me to do dialysis, and I'm not certified in dialysis. So you want to make sure, because if you go someplace and you don't know how to do it, now if you've never done it before, there have been people who have been kind to me. They'll show me how to do it, but you need to know how to do it, like boop boop boop. You gotta, you know. So you also want to know, what is your expectations as well. So the types of facilities that offer travel contracts are a lot of facilities. I've only done hospital contracts, but I know, like, I have a good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine who's been a travel nurse for like 10 years. She did a contract in a clinic. There are site contracts that are in corrections facilities or just straight up psych facilities. Like, I have a good friend who I actually graduated nursing school with. I love her. Hey girl. Hey Bree. That she actually put me onto my recruiter now, that she works in a psych facility. So yeah, there are different types of places that different type of nursings that you could do, outpatient, inpatient. It just depends on what you're looking for. So here's the one that everybody wants to know, right? This is y'all favorite part. How much, what's the money? Let's talk moolah. Money. Okay, y'all want to know about the money, money, okay? Well, that really depends on you. That depends on what state, where you're going, like what state you're working in. Some states pay higher than others. So if you take a contract in North Carolina, it's not going to be the same amount of money that you may take in, I don't know, Massachusetts or something. It really just depends on what they're offering. How much you make really depends on you. I have a number that I'm not leaving I'm not going less than this, or I'm not taking less than that. Now I know COVID pay, like I said, my good friend earlier, hey Westlyn, who she's been a travel nurse for 10 years. So she's been a travel nurse pre-COVID, post-COVID, post-COVID. So she lets me know the numbers. She sends me her information, like she'll let me see the numbers for real. But I mean, don't expect your friends to do that. I've known this girl since I was 10 years old. We're like family. So I know what it is. So no, is it COVID money? Like, are you going to be making 10 bands a week? You can, off of a contract. I mean, what am I saying, off a contract? Sorry, off of a strike. You can. There's money. There's strikes still being had. You're going to make that COVID money. But you got to know a number where it's like, you not going less than that. I have my number. You got to figure out yours. And you could actually get more than that. Like I said, it really depends on the state that you're working in. And then you have to factor in the stipend. Majority of the money comes from the stipend when you're a travel nurse, because that's a tax-free stipend. I pay my taxes. There are some nurses where they put exempt or whatever the case may be. I just pay. I don't like that. And I'm cheap, but I don't need nobody coming to take my money.
I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
So it really depends. You got to factor in the like after tax, pre-tax. You could say, like, you could have a number in your head, like, I'm not taking after taxes, I'm not taking anything less than their number. Some people's number, they depends on what state they're living in. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you're living in a state where nurses are getting, $2K a month, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of money, where it's like, come on, state, do better than that. I try not to judge people's, because sometimes people judge other nurses like, oh, why they gonna work for this amount. I don't know what somebody may be going through. They may have kids. I don't know. So try to give each other grace. I have a number that I'm not doing it for now. Even now, I could understand, like, I think depending on the state that you're going to, you don't want to lowball either. And you don't want to be desperate, because then that's how it messes up the game. You don't want to be desperate either. Although I don't judge people, but you don't, because if you go to a high paying state and you go there taking the same amount that they'll give you in a North Carolina state, now you're messing it up. Like, what are you doing? Because you got to factor in the cost of living too. Like, how much are you paying a week with housing? Like, how much is food in that area? What is there to do? So things like that. Yeah. So yeah. So the pros of being a travel nurse, after 13 weeks, after 8 weeks, or whatever because they do have some contracts, they have 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and 13 weeks. And after that week, those amount of weeks, you're free to just, do you. Take vacation if you want to lay up, if you want to take a staycation. You have the freedom. So there's freedom with being a travel nurse. You don't got to deal with toxic coworkers for long term. You don't have to deal with the politics. Well, yeah, you do. Because sometimes they say you don't have to deal with the politics long term with certain management. The money, you make more money than a staff nurse. This is, it's really good. The money, those are the pros. The cons, though, is like I mentioned earlier. They're gonna dump on you. You'll get a good hospital where they won't dump on you. They're cool. Maybe it's majority of travelers, but that's a part of the game, unfortunately. You're gonna deal with people being jealous. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. It's a female-dominated career. You're gonna deal with women not liking you. Maybe they mad that you wear makeup. Maybe they mad that you don't wear makeup. I don't know. Gossip. People being mad that you just even making more money than them, even though they could do it too. But you're gonna just deal with a lot of BS as a traveler. It just really depends on what BS you're willing to take. Sometimes people are going to be disrespectful, like a staff nurse could be disrespectful to you because they feel like, that's, and you do have to work around, how you respond to those things. I'll do a story time another time about, what happened with that. But, those are lessons that you're going to have to take. And the more contracts or just anything in life, the more you do it, the more you be like, I've seen this before. I can see it, But a word of advice I can give you is don't ever in life go from move in a standpoint of desperation. Meaning, if you feel like this contract is not good for your license, not good for your mental health, or just not good for you, period, and you don't have to finish it. I'm not saying that you want to break your contract anytime you want, but you should ride it out. However, there are some circumstances where you should leave. So yeah, that's a con. Oh, also another con is getting canceled. Sometimes cancellations can happen before your contract even start. It can happen any day. It can happen 3 days after you start. It can happen. I don't know. You piss somebody off, it can happen. If you don't piss somebody off, maybe it's low census. Like any reason they could give you for canceling your contract. That's a con as well. So prepare for that. Do not become a travel nurse. You're like, oh, I'm gonna become a travel nurse, and I only have $100 in my banking account. Don't do that. You're gonna need some money because anything could go wrong. Plus, you don't get paid until after you work 1 week, and then you get paid the week after. So you're not gonna have no money the first week. So don't be saying, oh, my life dreams and I'm gonna pick up and leave, and because how about they say, yo, census is low, sorry, we gotta cancel your contract, because that happens to people. It happens. Just recently I met a nurse and he came all the way from, where's that, West Coast, because I don't want to put what state he's from West Coast, and oh my gosh, they canceled him for not having modules done. I'm telling you, it could be ridiculous. Some people do not care because they feel like you are making more money than a regular staff, that they will look for any reason to cancel you. And just like, how do you do that? How do you not know what this person may be going through with their funds to mess up their money like that? It's really disgusting. But that's the way of the game. It's not one person that's going to change it. But yeah, so you want to plan accordingly. You don't want to blow your life savings or whatever money that you have. Stack up, have some cushion. And when you become a travel nurse, stack your money. please, I'll get to that. I'll probably touch on that again at the end of this video. Also want to have a moment of transparency. So I don't know, like, it's my first YouTube video. I don't know who this video may reach, because I do see things on social media and TikToks, people saying, oh, travel nurses is making this, is that. Yes, there's money to be made in travel nursing. However, you never know if somebody is getting luxury, how people are acquiring their luxury items. Fortunate enough for me, I have a husband who's very kind to me, very generous, and a lot of my things I had before I became a nurse. So I just want to be transparent. Don't say like, oh, I'm gonna become well, everybody could do what they want with their money, but everybody, like, I'm gonna become a travel nurse, I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of this and this and that. You know, you can do it, but I always advise people, live smart, make good decisions with your money, save your money. A flex is having money in your account and making money, making money off of interest. I don't think that's spoken about a lot of times. We pick careers, or people may pick careers just to buy luxury things. I love luxury. I guess I like luxury. I love other things but more. But yeah, so just use your head, become a travel nurse, stack your money, make sure you're moving smart, you're investing, ladies. And honestly, if you do have a husband, if he wants to buy you, have him buy you some luxury stuff. But stack your money, ladies. I'm a big one on saving, okay? That's a flex. Having money in your account is a flex. Having money, no bills, no debt, that's a flex. Having your husband buy you stuff and you saving yours is a flex. But you know what? Also spoiling yourself but you do have money in your account is a flex as well. So I hope my video was helpful, everybody. I hope to make more videos in the future. Let's say not too much on your girl, okay? Because this is my first YouTube video. I hope I'm actually looking in the camera, because this was hard for me to set up. But okay, guys, talk to you soon. Mwah.